welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along, and my apologies for the technical difficulties. Doesn't seem to be working. It's one of those days, so thank you so much for coming along. My name is Gungahlin. I'm the president of Gungahlin Community Council. Today, I think we are the newly opened facility, Gungahlin Community Council, which is great. So we have a big LED screen for those who are watching at home and not able to see, but very nice LED screen here. Today we have two modern agendas. So one of the things is we're going to walk through the Gungahlin University and David to do us a presentation today. And also another thing which we've been working for a long time is engaging the Asian voice as well from Gungahlin. So thank you so much for coming along. We appreciate the whole part of what you guys do. Just for their housekeeping rules, like some of the things that you guys probably already familiar if you're joining on the Facebook or the YouTube. All of our videos will go on the Facebook and then later it goes to the YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to any of those ones, please do subscribe. And also make sure you comment so that you get those notifications. And there's also a newsletter that you could subscribe, so please do so. Yeah, that's about those things. And I think because it's new facility, I might want to just say that the exit doors are all there, so and hopefully we don't need to run right now because it is better. But it's great to be here tonight, and also thank for my colleagues from the Community Council. We got Andrew here in Holden, so great to have you guys tonight. And we also have Andrew Jada from Adelaide. So thinking, Andrew, probably at the end you can just give us a big run through of what you are up to in those countries. So without further ado, I would like to call Andrew and team to come and talk about what's happening in Gungahlin. So what we are interested to know about, the crime rates seems to be going up and all those youth crimes and stuff. So we just want to see from your perspective what happened compared to last year and this year. What are the stats? Why it seems to be so many things that's happening on Facebook that people are panic, and we also see that genuine things happen on the media as well, that a lot of youth crime has gone up. So it'd be great to give us a overview of that, and also because a couple of years back we had the police speak from the Gungahlin police station about the infrastructure. They said it wasn't well up to the standard, and we helped them to do a petition and stuff. So it's good to know about your working facilities and do you have enough staff and those kind of things as well. So I'll have to invite you and
I'll say you if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Today we have a mobile camera, so I can just roll around.
No,
so
yeah. Well, President, thanks for having me, everyone. I'm Heather Dillon, the officer in charge of Gungahlin Association. So yeah, thank you, and apologies, it has taken me a little while to get here. It's the nature of our work, I suppose. So one of the important messages I'd like to leave with you tonight is that community safety is a shared responsibility. As you're aware, we can't be everywhere all the time, so we really rely on community input to provide us with information on what's happening. You guys living, working around here, you see a lot more people in the day-to-day travel than what we would, and so any information that you can provide to us can be really helpful for the things that we're doing. So it might be something that you see as being quite small, however that might just be the final small piece that we need to finish an investigation and get to a point where we can do other things. So my suggestions to you, if you do happen to witness something or you see something that doesn't look right, please let us know. As much as you can, take in as many details as you can. What did the person look like? What were they wearing? What directions they're leading in? Were they in a car, on foot? Were they with anyone else? Those things like that can be really helpful for us, especially when we're looking through CCTV I have brought the statistics. I apologise, I didn't make get them on the screen for us. But I can tell you I've gone through the statistics of the ACT and compared them from this time last year to now. So I've got stats around assaults, sexual assaults, armed robbery, burglary, motor vehicle theft, and property damage. And the good news is that over the last 12 months, sorry, let me just find the right page. Assaults in the home and other have gone down. Sexual assaults have remained the same. Armed robberies have remained the same. Other robberies and burglaries are also down. Motor vehicle thefts are up. And thefts from vehicles is down. And property damage is also down. We can go into some more details around that if you would like. But that is good news. It is also sort of colder part of the year, which typically we do see a reduction in crimes at this time of year just because people aren't out and about as much. That's not to say crime's not still happening, it's just not happening as much at the moment, whereas you'll find there's a lot more people out and about when it's warmer, and that's when things tend to ramp up for that as well. What we do ask in relation to that is to protect yourselves. Keep things like valuables out of your vehicles, keep your vehicle locked in a secure or garage if you can. Don't keep the keys at the front door if you can avoid it. Don't leave them under your front door. Lock your windows and the doors when you do leave. And if you happen to go away for an extended period of time and you trust your neighbours, let them know that you're leaving them, so if they see anything suspicious in the area, that they are to report that to us as well. I think that's all I wanted to say. Does anyone have any questions?
I moved here from Queensland about a year ago.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
And,
Give the mic. Yeah, I think it's.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me now?
I can.
My name is Dinesh. Nice to see you over here. It's my first time to attend the meeting and to meet you all in person. I'm fairly new to ACT. Moved here from Queensland about, say, 13 months ago. Bought up an apartment in Infinity Towers. And when I first came in, I noticed there was some signs that the police station here, which is walking distance from my place, was getting an upgrade, or some sort of facilities were being moved, or something was being upgraded. Could you tell us more as to what the progress is on that?
So after we had the contaminants from the diesels and the fire trucks, we did move out of the well, and during that time we got new flooring, rented out office space, got a few new desks in, removed the cell, which wasn't quite compliant at that point in time, removed that from the police station, and we also put in a carport out the back. So we've had some slight upgrades, but we're still working with the same space that we had before.
Very good. That's great.
We also then had the fire a few months ago now as well. So as a result of that, we've had the walls painted, new carpets put in, some new doors and that sort of stuff.
That's great. Look, I've been in your station just once, and it was quite friendly when I came. Just for you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Steve. We have spoken before. We haven't met, so I'll probably have to work it afterwards, but written down something to keep it short. So about community safety, my issue tonight is domestic violence. Got to ask you about male domestic violence. So what policies, training and operational procedures do ACT Police have to ensure that male victims are properly recognised and supported when they report domestic violence, rather than being treated primarily as the potential perpetrator? to that, how does ACT Police ensure that allegations made during contentious domestic family disputes are properly tested, particularly where there is evidence of allegations are false? I ask this specifically because of an incident on October 17th last year regarding a man named Thomas Zarja. Are you aware of Thomas Zarja?
No, that name doesn't ring a bell.
Probably no one is, because male victims of domestic violence do not reach the news. Mr. Zarja was a loving dad. Serious allegations were made by his former partner, resulting in the tactical response team attending his house at 3 a.m. in the morning. He was dragged out of his house, 2 broken ribs, 1 broken tooth. He was thrown in jail. He was left on his lawn while he was being arrested under guns pointed to his head for an hour. What happened in court after that? It was proven that his female former partner had fabricated absolutely everything she said. She had made false complaints to the police. That's a criminal act. She had fabricated evidence, another criminal act. After 7 months of fighting him, God knows how many thousands of dollars, he was released, but he didn't see his son. What happened after that? Nothing. No apology. Nothing. Was she charged? No. Absolutely nothing. I spoke to you briefly a few months ago with regards to me being a male victim of domestic violence. I'm still waiting for a phone call. It's been 14 weeks since I reported a crime of domestic violence. 14 weeks. Nothing. When I had a false complaint made about me, I was in the slammer within 4 hours. So what's the difference between male victims of domestic violence and female victims, and how does ACT Police deal with those?
So we have training in relation to family violence offending. All cases are dealt with individually and with the evidence that's provided to us at the time. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Thank you for your question.
To be perfectly blunt, that's a cop-out. You haven't answered my
Mr.
questions.
Mansell, please, this is not the correct forum for this.
Yes, it is.
I understand that you've been speaking with my superintendent, and I'd like to remain offline when I speak to you about that. Thank you.
People were here to talk about criminal acts and the safety of the community, and you've refused to answer the questions.
Look,
You
mate,
just
you're going to have to turn
I'm
outside there for a
still
second.
outside if you'd like to speak further, but I'm not doing that here.
I'm asking pretty
Yeah,
simple questions.
sir, this is not the correct forum.
Sorry, buddy, they're getting an option to have a discussion. We'll,
If that's going to be your final answer, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I don't think it's acceptable.
We
but
can talk about this offline. This is not the correct forum.
Hi, my name is Ricky. I'm just still in regards to the community safety. I live there around somewhere, Tyler there, and a couple of months ago, I've seen the teenagers are using the e-scooters. They run into the main road and are doing a lot of crazy activities where cars are going. What is the ACT Police doing in regards to this e-scooter, because it's becoming so dangerous to the point that I have to slam the brake to avoid hitting those teenagers in the middle of the night with their torchlight in their head and they speed. They're just doing a lot of stuff. What's the ACT Police doing in regards to that?
Yeah,
I believe many people might have seen this happening now.
Unfortunately, the e-scooters and e-bikes are becoming quite problematic at the moment, so we are working on some strategies with our traffic team to work out how we can handle it and how we can best get on top of it. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you at the moment, other than to say we are aware of it.
Okay.
Obviously, if people are being dangerous and it's happening at the time, please give us a call, we'll send some people out. But then the problem is us trying to then chase after people, and it just puts them at further risk, and most of the time it is children, and so we've just got to be mindful of their safety as well. So we will do our best, but we've got to work with what we're being presented. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a better
No,
answer
it's
for you.
very simple.
Yeah. And I believe it's happening all over
It's a
Australia.
norm. It's
Yeah.
a norm. Yeah.
You have a question, Malcolm?
Yes. Actually, a couple, so I'll just to my go. It's kids get about e-bikes, and apparently Bunnings has become a Grand Prix circuit for groups of kids who race around. So that's going to end up in tears, I think, unfortunately. But the other matter relates to people laying rubber down 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning in suburbs like Franklin and waking us up at, by the time you report it, obviously they're gone. So, they're not being apprehended. And I don't know what strategies the neighbourhood can adopt to actually try and stop and report that particular activity.
I mean, keep reporting it, because then what we can do is actually get a pattern of time that's happening, and that's when we can send extra cars around that time to keep an eye on. Do have unmarked vehicles which we can sit off and wait for these things to happen as well. So keep letting us know. Same about the kids at Bunnings. If you've noticed that it's the same time of day or same certain day of the week, or if it's all of them, let us know. Again, just keep reporting it, and if the reports are there, then we can respond and we can send resources where they're needed.
From my area is Well Station,
Yep.
and Litteru Avenue. And of course
It's quite bendy around there. It's quite bendy. Yeah.
And of course they leave their footprint on the tarmac, so everyone should actually know where their favourite spots are.
The other thing you can do is actually put in a Fix My Street and try and get some more speed humps put in, which can then slow it down a little bit. So
Well, it just adds to the excitement.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Like again, just keep reporting it so that we know what's happening and where, and we'll get it out there where we can.
So one other quick thing about surveillance in and around the shopping centre and the public transport areas, the bus and tram stops. Security cameras there now to actually detect, record people that are actually misbehaving in that space.
They're not our cameras. Action do have cameras around the interchange, which we can tap into if we need to get particular offending, but we're not watching them live. Action might be, but it's not ACT policing.
Yeah.
Probably the thing that this goes back quite a while. We've had many incidents of youth crime in Gungahlin. We've been monitoring it for probably about 12 months now, and we've seen many instances essentially of what appears to be fairly well organised groups of youth that are essentially roaming the streets around Gungahlin and suburbs that are away from there. These are not things that essentially Gungahlin has historically had these types of incidents. So they are they're either relatively new or they're just more reported in the sense of the camera systems and things that are engaged. But a lot of them are, and I see them pretty consistently, youth essentially that are hooded, trying to break in cars. Initially, there was quite a number of break-ins of vehicles, which were disturbing enough, but it seems to have progressed to the point where they're breaking into the homes. So this is breaking into that are essentially happening now. We've seen more instances in relation to violent crime, which means that often a lot of times implements like knives, machetes, and things are now being used in all of these crimes. We've also seen from my perspective as well, youth that are actually operating within the town centre that are targeting individuals, particularly in the areas of White Rail and the bus station that's there. We've taken those comments essentially that I've seen online, and some incidents that have happened that have been associated with my family as well, where youths have been targeted by a specific group of youths, and they actually do have a name called 4G, and essentially they're operating within Gungahlin and growing in numbers. And essentially you've got a group of youth that are essentially wandering the streets, targeting, videotaping assaults, bashing kids essentially randomly, and see a lot of dedicated operations involved in trying to curtail this. We know Gungahlin is the nappy mill of Canberra, and we do have a lot of young people that are here. This community centre is one way to sort of address youth sort of crime, and I know PCYCs and the police themselves trying to have engagement with youth in order to try and divert them. But we're finding that essentially there's these incidents that are going on. We've spoken to the opposition police minister directly. I know I have directly about it. Submissions have been made to the government. I've recently received a response from Michael Hudson in relation to the fact that the issue is known, but at the same time, from their perspective, there doesn't seem to be any measure of urgency in relation to the issue. I did get some agreement that the issue's been raised about further policing within a particular area within the bus station and the light rail station. We do know that we've got a growing population here. It's no secret to us that we know that your police numbers have historically not been at the levels that are required. We don't necessarily need a comment from you associated with that, because we know. We've spoken to the police directly. I know sometimes there are some issues in relation to laws that have been passed in relation to the age of criminal responsibility, and how it is quite difficult for police to intervene in certain instances of youth because of that, and that they might potentially feel that engaging with those youth, it's difficult to tell how old they are potentially and what instruments are available to you. I've spoken to Andrew Braddock about it, I've spoken to Michael Patterson about it, I've spoken to the opposition police minister about it, I've spoken to Leanne Castley about it, I've spoken to a lot of MLAs about this particular issue, and I kind of feel that the issue is not being addressed effectively, and I sort of feel for the police because essentially you happen to deal with this issue. I know that it's available, and what I'm trying to do is bring it to the surface and essentially have this addressed in a very serious manner. I mean, there was a situation where a youth was attacked in Ngunnawal, where essentially a youth jumped out of a car, put a hood over their head, and then chased him down the road with a knife, essentially. And from my perspective, when you see these types of things, these indiscriminate crimes that are going on, I really don't want this to escalate to a point where it ends up as in a coroner inquest. And so I'm sort of raising this issue in the most serious terms that I can about what can be done. And as you say, it's a shared responsibility. As a shared responsibility, I'm raising it as part of the community to say, I think the community's had enough, and they really want some major levers pulled. I know that many years ago there was activities that were related to recidivist activities, and that did result in a drop in crime in Gungahlin. So I don't know whether or not it is tied in with bail laws as well. We do see a lot of these people essentially being caught and released, essentially, and maybe that's the concerns that the police have themselves. But it's just something that I want to raise with the utmost seriousness, that we address it before it gets to higher levels than what it is already.
Yeah, definitely feel your frustration. We do have teams that are trying, but sometimes it really is trying. So it's definitely felt from our end as well, and it's not something we're ignoring at all. We understand how serious it is and just how many people it's affecting. But obviously, yeah, it's just one of those things. We are working on it, we are aware of it, but yeah, more realisation and more openness to everyone is definitely an advantage.
Do you know when the new police station is slated?
So
Asking all the tough
we're not actually
questions.
getting a new police station. The idea is that when the fireys and the ambos move out, we'll take over the building completely. But a couple months ago now, the fireys actually announced that they haven't broken ground yet, and they don't have a start date for their project. So therefore, that sort of pushed everything back for us as well. So we're still working with what we've got, which is our original station, which was part-time when it first started.
Is there any time frame though at this stage when that might
About 2 or 3 years at least.
Thank you. Thank you for answering me for coming along tonight. In the stats that
unfortunately, we had a system upgrade overnight, and I couldn't get into any of my old files, which had the Gungahlin specific ones. So next time I'll bring the Gungahlin specific. But yeah, that was ACT policing statistics.
Okay. It'd be good to know
Yeah,
what's happening.
definitely.
Especially we want to see what kind of crime is happening, how often it's happening, and we know that youth crime is going up.
Yep.
But we also be interested to see the other side of the crimes. What I'm trying to see is what's the root cause of the crime, why sudden increase. Is it, sometimes it could be a drug issues in some of the crimes. Since they legalized illegal drugs, is it the right, is it all because of that?
Decriminalise. Yeah, look, I've actually noticed a great change since the decriminalisation. I think more of the issue is that Gungahlin itself is growing, and it is growing quite quickly, and the infrastructure hasn't quite caught up with us. And so we're still working on the same facilities that we've had the whole time. And I'm not just talking about police, I'm talking about fireys and ambulance as well. So we're kind of still working with what we had when the population was a lot smaller, whereas now it's larger and nothing has really changed. So we're working on it, but these things will take a little bit of time. Plus, you've got a lot of apartments, everyone's living on top of each other. It's not as spread out as it used to be, and so as soon as you start putting people together, tensions rise, and that's when crimes go up.
Yeah. And do you know what's the reason for the youth crime going up?
The reason no, but the minimal age of criminal responsibility has certainly changed things from our point of view, in terms of it's been raised from 10 and then 12 and now 14, so that's made it difficult to put those people before court. We do have other methods that we try when they're appropriate, but we just have to work with each case as it comes to us and go from there.
The machete home invasion the other day was a 15-year-old youth, essentially. So.
Yeah, like some of the programs used to run in the ACT schools, funded by the federal governments, like chaplain programs and those kind of things. And I'm just interested to see, I don't know, for some reason, the ACT government, even though they're not funding those programs, they said no to those ones. That's the only territory in Australia said no to those programs. So it'd be interested to, if you need to go to the root cause of the problem, you need to be around to compare with other states and see what programs they are running in the school. Maybe you can recommend the government back to say maybe we can try to get those programs back into the school, such as like a chaplain program. I think it was a good program. It's been running across other states. So I'm just curious to go into the root cause. What is the things? Because we know one of the things was there's not in like a lot of sporting facilities in Gungahlin. So we want to see indoor sporting facilities for the youth, because they have good energy. We just need to make sure we filter them into the right way so they can spend their energy on the right things. So I think it'd be good to, while you're trying to mitigate and resolve the issues arising, but we also need to find out why.
Yep.
And that would help, and you can make some recommendation to the government. And we're happy to work along as a community with you guys to make those things for the government to listen and make changes as they need it as well. And the other thing was like all those in Bona and all those areas, we see the raids happen, and then people harvesting a lot of those illegal plans and all those things. Has it gone bigger because now the ACT government given us a limit that you can have this much of?
I mean, I don't have our drug statistics, but in terms of our everyday business, I haven't noticed a change. But that's not to say that there hasn't been one. It's just what I personally haven't noticed.
So it's not. So you don't think it's a change before the law changed, or it's the same thing?
It appears from what dealings I've had, it appears the same to me. I think social media has definitely made things a lot more visible to us. So what may have just been a raid beforehand wouldn't have necessarily gotten the media attention that it gets now. So you're being made aware of it a bit more, I believe.
Thank you very much.
Just quickly touching on that, because I know that it's quite topical in relation to the decriminalisation of drugs.
touch that one. I can say it's not just happening in Gungahlin, it is happening across the ACT, unfortunately, and that's where I might leave that one alone.
Oh, sorry, Malcolm.
Another couple of quick ones. We know that the wastewater testing is indicating a growing level of drug taking. So the underlying, I guess, stats would indicate more consumption. Now, whether that translates into the sort of behaviours we see along the way, we don't know. The other thing is, I wonder if there's any resource kits that can be made available to the community to try and actually assist in reporting this kind of behaviour that we see, and are they available on the website or?
Yeah, there's Crime Stoppers. You can jump on there anytime and report any non-urgent crimes on there, and they'll be followed up.
Anyone else have any other questions? I'm going to ask our probably final questions. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Mark, and my question is about illegal tobacco and vapes. I wonder if you could give us any update on that, because it is a concern to people living in apartments where there is a shop in the apartment.
Yeah.
complex.
So there was some search warrants conducted earlier this week where a number of the servers were actually had some seizures and that sort of stuff done from the search warrants. It is mostly managed by ADF, just because it's
Sorry, by
the
Australia.
ADF. Yes, because it is people importing them. However, if you are aware of this activity occurring, report it through Crime Stoppers and or through ACT Policing, and we can certainly look into that.
I'm just interested in what level of detail is useful for that. Like, is it necessary to say, is it sufficient to say I saw 10 people going in and out of the shop today, or do we have to write down the specific time, what clothes they're wearing, that sort of thing?
You can basically write, I think there's illegal tobacco or vapes being sold here.
Yep.
You don't even have to give, like if you've got, the more information you've got, great, but in terms of the customers, we're not really going to go chase them. We're more looking at the businesses who are doing the wrong thing. So you just say, yeah, I've noticed people coming and going, and sneaking things in their pockets as they leave, whatever it is. Whatever it is that's making you think that it's not right, let us know, we can look into that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See something, you say something.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Probably the last two, and then we'll let you guys go. So, in terms of resourcing, it was a big issue because we actually helped the Gungahlin Police Station to do a write-up of petition and supported you guys. So, just want to see on the after like I think probably now it's 2 or 3 years after that incident, as the resourcing. I know overall still we need more, but is it progressed compared to what it was a couple of years back, and is that being better?
Yes, we are definitely looking a lot better in the resourcing department. From the recruits that graduated 2 weeks ago, we've actually got 7 of them starting with us in the next couple of weeks, and then the following recruit course we have another bunch coming from that as well. So yes, our numbers have increased ever so slightly. Yeah.
So how many people will be in the police station?
At any one time? I won't give out the exact numbers, but I can tell you that we have had an increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And I think probably this is the final question. On the, I think it's what drive, Arsport Drive, and then about the exit to the Federal Highway.
On the which drive, sorry? Horse Park?
Yeah, Horse
Yep.
Park. So just after you take the exit to the Federal Highway, there's always, most of the time, there's a police car parked. I don't have any issue with that, but the way they park, it's always kind of forward facing you, because you're not supposed to park the wrong direction. I know, but when especially in the night and stuff, you just get like, is it someone coming towards you? So I would just
they're leaving their headlights on.
sometimes they leave their headlights on, or it's kind of as a driver when you're driving on 80k and then you see a car because you don't able to recognize it's the police or something.
Yep.
So it's like facing towards you. So I'm happy for them to hide somewhere, but not
in your line of sight.
facing that. So it'd be really good if you can consider that, because sometimes you don't want to. I know you're looking after the people, but you don't want that to be an incident as well. So I just want to bring that as well.
Noted, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming down tonight. I really appreciate that, and it's good that finally we were able to make it. And if you can send us some stats, email or something, then I could able to share with the team as well. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having us, everyone.
If we can maybe even as a community council, we need a time meeting outside of our meetings to talk to the police about some
Yeah,
of these
that'd be
issues.
wonderful.
I think
Yep.
it would be helpful. I know that when the opening of this centre was here, there was a big police thing here as well. And it was good to just talk.
Yep.
So just on the record as well about certain things.
Well, you're also welcome to pop down. Come down to the station, say there.
As always, we're happy to work closely with you guys. So anytime if you need any support or anything that you need from the community, you can contact us.
Wonderful.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. On that note, we're gonna go on to the next speaker. Thank you, Dave, for patiently
That's all right.
waiting. And we're probably gonna do a quick walkthrough on the slides, and then you wanna take us to the rooms and stuff, because now we've got the mobile camera, so I want to get into the live experience of visiting every room if possible.
I might sit here so I can steer the
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
You can put it on your.
Hello everyone, nice to have you here, and very pleased to speak with you tonight, and also very happy to host you on an ongoing basis, if that's of interest, in terms of hosting your meetings here in future. I'm very happy to accommodate you. I'm David Momchilovich. I'm the Director of Community Engagement within the ACT Government Directorate called Infrastructure Canberra. My team, it's a pretty small team. We manage the property services for ACT government community facilities across Canberra. So there's about 200 odd buildings around Canberra that are designated for community use, and we have a whole range of tenants in those buildings, from charities and NGOs through to sporting organisations, businesses, and a whole range of different community groups doing terrific things in Canberra. And this is our newest building, and this has been a couple of years in the making, and we now manage this centre as well and have an ongoing permanent staff presence here in the centre. I'll provide a brief overview of the new centre and the youth hub, which is a significant new major investment by the ACT government. And the vision for this centre has always been to create a welcoming, inclusive and flexible space that supports connection, learning, creativity and participation for the people of Gungahlin and the region. And we're already seeing really strong community interest. In August alone, we're anticipating about 1,100 attendances at different activities and events at the centre, which is fantastic. It's only the second month we've been open, so that shows the great demand for this type of space. As I said, this space has been in the making for several years. The project involved community consultation. I believe some people in this room were a part of that consultation, and part of the design development before commencing into the construction phase and now the operational phase. From the outset, the focus was on creating a flexible facility that could respond to a wide range of needs, both now and into the future. And the result is a purpose-built asset that supports everything from small meetings through to major events, performances and celebrations. broad range of organisations have contributed to the development of this building, including the Gunners Place Consortium. So they operate the youth centre, which is on the other end of the campus. Belconnen Arts have had a big role in the development of this space, and there's lots of public art interspersed throughout this building. And around 20 community groups were consulted during development. The centre continues to work closely with different organisations and service providers, as well as our hirers, to ensure that we're responsive to local needs. As I said, we currently have a small team supporting operations, comprising 2 permanent staff. Their names are Nick and Paige, and they sit within the reception area over there from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're also onboarding some additional casual staff to support the growing level of activity. We anticipate that those staff will work more irregular hours, early mornings, evenings, and weekends to support activities and hirers over those times. So the centre features a range of features to support diverse activities. The youth hub includes spaces for young people to gather and connect and play. It also has consulting rooms, outdoor gathering spaces, barbecue area as well. And as I said, that's up and running now. Really exciting to see that today in action. There's lots of kids down there and really energise the space. That's run by a consortium of different community organisations, including Northside Community Services, and they run a range of different programs, mostly in the afternoons and early evenings, but also I understand some school holiday activities are planned. This building, the community centre, includes halls and meeting rooms, dance and performance spaces, wet, dry and digital art spaces, hot desk work spaces, cafe which is soon to open, a commercial kitchen which is behind us, consultation rooms, and this main function space. So as I said, these spaces are already being used for a really diverse range of activities. So far we've had conferences, weddings, wakes, gaming tournaments, African drumming classes, dance classes, religious gatherings, seniors exercise programs, arts programs for people with neurodiversity, orchestra workshops and vocal performances. The centre offers high rates ranging from approximately $12 to $64 an hour, and eligible charities and not-for-profits receive a 50% discount. We've already received some early feedback about the hire scheme, and we are committed to reviewing that within the first 6 months of operation to ensure that it's fair and fit for purpose, and make some adjustments where needed, including considering low or zero fees, including like tonight where you're using this space for no cost. The facility is also designed for flexible access, allowing hires to access spaces both during and outside business hours through a secure PIN code access system. It's also got a lot of accessibility and inclusion features. It includes a lift access, ramps, accessible bathrooms, a changing places facility, which is essentially a all-inclusive disability access bathroom. It's got showers, parents' room, bike parking, Wi-Fi, and adjustable lighting that supports sensory-friendly use of spaces. The centre celebrates creativity and local identity through a range of public artworks, which I think are the most stunning features of the building. You'll see a mural on the other side of the youth centre that was created with 3 local mural artists and a range of young people, and there's what's called the Grounding Pavers project, which circles the large red gum in the courtyard. There's also artwork on the panels throughout the building, and a dedicated gallery at the entrance of the building, which is a really exciting feature. I believe it's the only gallery space in Gungahlin. Looking ahead, the most important thing I'd like to leave you tonight with is this centre belongs to you, the community. Whether you're interested in running a program, hosting an exhibiting artworks, establishing a group, or simply finding a place to connect with others, this place is here for you. We're continuing to grow our partnerships, increase programming, and explore new ways to activate the building so it remains vibrant for the whole community. Encourage others to visit the centre, explore what it can offer, and speak with our team about how we can bring your ideas and activities to life. Here are some contact details for the centre, our website, dedicated contacts for our team, little page, by their email address and their centre phone number. Obviously, we're month 2 into the building. We understand that we're kind of learning as we go, and there's lots of things we want to do to enhance interconnection with the community. We need to do a lot of work in terms of our public-facing materials. We don't yet have social media site, for example, so we can't actively promote some of the programs and events that are happening here, but we hope over time that changes so we can actually have that sort of two-way dialogue with the community and encourage participation and attendance here. We're also encouraging our hirers to promote their own programs through their own channels and networks and to drive people towards the centre, which is really exciting. We also want to do a lot of work with, we know that Gungahlin is a multi-faith, multicultural, really diverse community. We want to do a lot more deep engagement with different multicultural communities and make sure that this centre is for them as well, so that entails producing materials in different languages, and making sure that people who may not speak English as their first language, can access this building as well and feel welcome here. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions. Happy to take you through a walk through the centre. It'd be great if we can maybe repurpose this video. We can put it online as well as have a virtual tour.
Yeah. So, thanks, David. I just want to read this through for the benefit of the people watching online.
Yeah, sure.
So, to find out what's happening at the centre, you can check out Gungahlin Community Centre website, which is act.gov.au/venues-spaces-and-precincts/Gungahlin Community Centre. We will probably put that as well on the Facebook comments, so you don't need to memorize that.
It's a pretty long name, and we know if you just Google Gungahlin Community Centre, it'll come up.
It will come up.
Yeah.
Perfect. So one of the common questions which I sent to you as well, is there a link to courses and events running at the community event? So as you mentioned, respective people who are doing those courses will be publishing them on their own platform. But I think what the community wants is if there's a regular course, say for example like a paint class that's happening regularly, so maybe they want to see what are those classes I could probably be part of it. Not necessarily run by the ACT government, but understand that I think what they want to know, okay, what's happening in the facility, is there free or is it there they need to book and stuff. So it could be that I think they want one kind of a place where they can go.
Yeah,
and not all programs maybe needed to be included because there are private and other programs, but anything that is available for all the people, then it could be a really good one. So I think probably we can ask the question as David going to take us through the building, like a walkthrough. I think this is the first time we're doing this kind of a one, so let's go for a ride.
What happens with the... Should we stop and...
No, we're going with the walkthrough.
Okay. So you might want to talk while you walk, Dave.
Haven't done this before.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the centre to everyone online. We'll take you through. So this is the main function space, the biggest room in the building. This can be divided into 3 discrete spaces, or any configuration of those 3 different spaces. It's really intended to host large events, conferences. We have a range of tables and chairs that people can use to support their events. And this also will open out into our main courtyard, so we very much hope for this to be a very active and dynamic space where people can come from the building into the courtyard as well.
So David, this is like a 3 rooms, if you want to call it, right? So you can separate them and you can make it as a big...
You hire the whole space, or you can hire one individual portion, and it's different rates
and
according to how much space.
Okay. So you know, like roughly how much the starting price on the rates of the.
I think for the big spaces, it's more expensive, so it's about $60 an hour.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
So,
All right. Let's move on to the next.
so the adjoining space is our commercial kitchen. I might just throw the lights on so you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a full commercial kitchen featuring lots of space for cooking. There's a range of ovens, freezers, fridges, microwaves, etc., dishwashers that can be used. We've had some early activation here, people running cooking courses, workshops, etc., but also hosting events where there is food for their guests. So this servery provides the gateway between the two spaces.
Yeah, $1 million question. Is it a gas or?
No, this building is fully electric, so with the move to electrification, this is a state-of-the-art asset. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to hire the kitchen, you can just hire the kitchen by itself, is it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, all of our spaces are discrete spaces that are available for hire.
So if you want to do like so if you're running a community event somewhere else, you just want to hire the kitchen to prepare the food, you can still do that.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Right.
You just need to bring your own materials and
Yeah.
pots and pans and stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. That's locked.
So this is the ground floor area. There's two entrances on either side of the building which open up onto major thoroughfares in Gungahlin. Our reception area is just here, which is the space where our team sits. There's a gallery space at the front. The lights aren't turning on, but this is a small gallery space, so we're having exhibitions.
Lights not working.
I thought I would just do it, but there, as you see, I'm still learning how to use this building. There we go. Excellent. There. Oh, it's right behind the door. Okay. So this is our first exhibition, which is an exhibition of artwork by the Migrant Women's Art Group, which I believe is Gungahlin based. And this is on display until the end of August, and we then hope to have a rolling calendar of art displays here, partnering with major organisations like Barton Highway, but also, anyone who's local and creative can make use of the space as well.
So with this display, so if the community, if anyone wants to bring their artwork, what's the process then?
Again, it's a hireable space, so talk to our team about how to use the space and how to book it. That can be for a set period, or it can just be for 1 or 2 days, depending on what people need. But I think we've got a range of people here like selling their products as well sometimes, so that's coming up with the future programming, and doing weekend kind of events where they're doing more of a stall arrangement where they're selling their products, so that's really exciting too. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Okay, so this is our dance studio space, probably my favourite space in the whole building actually. It's really pretty in the basement because it opens up to the courtyard and the tree. Can't quite see it now. Quite a big space with a properly sprung floor. It's fully compliant for activities that require that, whether it's dancing or exercise classes. There's a series of mirrors on that wall. obviously there's some IT equipment too that people can use as part of their programs. On this side, there's some changing areas for people to get changed if they need to. And yeah, it's a really nice space.
So I think the good thing is that they consider the change room and stuff. So there's 3 change rooms, is it?
That's a communications room, so that's not open to the public, but these 2 rooms are just small change rooms.
So with the storeroom, you can hire the storeroom, or
That is. Oh, let me look this up. That's oh, you do equipment. Oh, yeah, equipment. We also have some communications channels. But I guess, yeah, people need to store the belongings.
yeah.
I think for the current harness. All right. I probably won't go into every single room, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
There's quite a few ones really good. This area is really designed to intend to support maybe like sort of hot desking arrangements for people who need quiet spaces to do consulting work or speak with clients. So we might end up having a tenant in this space that has a more sort of regular permanent sort of arrangement here. But at the moment it's like there's a range of different rooms from small consulting rooms through to like a large sort of multi-desk space that could be hired by. We've had some small companies and businesses come in here and use the space and use it as a space for teams to connect so far. But yeah, we're looking at how we can use the space more effectively.
So we have the dance studio there.
Yeah.
This is the waiting room.
Well, no, it's just a waiting lounge for. It's more like an office.
So dancing, the dance studio is separate things that you can hire, and you can also hire the office space.
Yeah.
So this is the office space.
Oh, good. So the more people you got, the more you can go space.
That's right. There's also a prayer room, multi-faith room at the end of the corridor.
So you book those?
No, that's just if people need to use that, want to use that for prayer or other reasons.
So if someone wants to come and do it after hours prior, so that you can just.
Let me come back to you on that one. I think we would need to have some sort of arrangement in place. You need to have the introvert access to be able to do that, and maybe pay us.
Do you know how many people you get are coming here?
It's not that easy. Could I look? So yeah, it's not considered for large groups. It's rather. Sorry, I've just got to press this light.
Oh yeah. It's open during the day.
Yes.
Okay. Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and the Sunday.
Yeah.
So you have to book or you don't?
I don't know how the team's actually managing this space. I'll talk to them and come back to you. But we want
No,
it to be
it's
used,
just
so-
for free. All the other rooms they got the prices. This is like if you hire the other things, this is like comes free.
So,
You can access this one
Right.
for
So-
free.
So this is for anyone to use. It's a multi-faith.
Yeah.
So if you run like a small study group, you can also like a religious study group. You
Yeah,
can
exactly.
use that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So it'd be good if you can find out
Sure.
after hours. Then yeah, there'll be.
That would be great, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
What sort of hours would you?
Like I'm
you
just
thinking
thinking
about?
like after 6.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Evenings, because most groups,
Yes.
people are at work.
Yeah,
Probably
of
they're
course.
in Tagaran or Warden.
Yeah.
People who are here usually work. That's
Yeah.
and they get-
Okay, I'll find out for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is that it, or are you going to be like chairs or something like that provided there? More chairs and green chairs?
Yeah, you can do it.
So be interested to know whether they can come down and actually use it instead of using ours.
This is spaces. So there's a dry art space. Feel free to walk in where people can create. There's an adjoining wet art room which has some running water and other facilities for the people who are painting and using wet arts.
Have kids' birthday party.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. This is also partitioned off, so you can make it a bigger space as well. And finally, this is a shared kitchen area, sitting area, and this area is like a hot testing workstation.
So this is another kitchen.
Yeah, this is just for communal use. It's not for hiring. It's if you need access to it.
Just do it in the microwave. Does it have a fridge as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is there a little fridge? Yeah.
So people, what is the intention with the whole spaces?
It's more like I guess Watso or something like that.
But you would just pay the
Yeah, you pay for it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for showing me.
That was useful.
Yeah, it's really good. I think there is the one thing we couldn't go out of the building. So do you want to just tell the people who are watching online what's those buildings that are used facilities?
Yeah, so the other side of the campus,
Pricing is the price. Every individual room has a different price.
Which is a space for young people. It's basically a large hall with gaming equipment, lounges, and tables for kids to create or do activities. There's a large TV. There's also some small consulting rooms and spaces where there's also a number of commercial kitchen on that side of the building, which serves into doing classes with that sort of thing. They also have a large bar, which is space as well, which they can use for
Perfect. Thank you so much, David. It's very helpful, and I think we'll put those details for people if you haven't looked at or looking to book anything. Use this facility. I think it's a lot of good facility that we got it in Gungahlin, and I'm not sure about you know the background, David. We've been as a community council, we've been pushing for this kind of facility to come to Gungahlin. So it's really good to see the manifestation and what the hard work we've been putting through this. Thank you so much for taking us around, and I think we got one more speaker to do.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the room. So if you're watching online, so we'll go back to the room and we'll finish the meeting there. Okay. But while you're walking back, we'll see. We'll show you the
reverse.
The reverse.
Too visible. It's all right once a year, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with the Anzac Day. A bit of the tour once a year. It's a bit of fun. Well, we forget about it. When I was young, I used to run the banks. I put a dollar in when I left.
No worries. Thank you.
Alright, we're going to continue the meeting. So we have our last speaker. We have Andrew Braddock, Rabi MLA with us. Thanks, Andrew, for joining us tonight. It'd be good to see. I think the light is here. If you can come here, that might be. Thank you, Andrew, for coming along tonight. It'd be good to know the MLA update, what's happening for Gungahlin, and what anything that you'd like to share that's upcoming new projects. Yep. To you. Thank you.
Very happy to. Thank you, Henley. Thank you, everyone from the GCC and helping put this on. And also, it's a great to finally have this facility open and available to the East Barton community. A few of the things I've just been up to recently. Firstly, we had the GCC petition about the Gungahlin Cinema, the long-running saga about 10 years later, which is still just a blank patch of ground. The latest that's been happening there is in terms of, you might be aware or not aware that part of the issue is under the current planning regulations, there is a nil penalty where a developer fails to abide by the lease conditions that they have for that particular site for the first 4 years. They don't have to pay any penalty for the fact they haven't met the signed contract they had with the government. And so the developer who's been in breach of that lease condition for the past 2 years has had to pay no penalty. The government's agreed to review those planning regulations and make some changes to that. They've failed to give me any sort of time frame as to when that might happen, so I've had to keep on pushing to make sure that happens in a timely fashion so that we can see enforcement action actually happen on that site. Other things we've been looking at is firstly, the CIT location we have next to Gungahlin College is a very small one that has remained the same size since, when did that go? Must be at least about a good 8 years now, if not longer. So it's remained the same despite the massive population growth we've had over that time. So I've been pushing the CIT in terms of where can we get an expansion of both the facility and also then the course offering. Part of the challenge there is Gungahlin College is literally squeezed at the rafters and will continue to be so until the North Gungahlin College is opened. But I'll just keep on pressing that and seeing if there's any way we can make full use of the facility even after hours to provide course offerings in the Gungahlin area. You might also be aware that the Gungahlin Library will be closing on Sundays from the 27th of August. This is something I've been campaigning on. At least we're still maintaining Saturday hours opening for the library here in Gungahlin. There are other libraries such as Kippax, Arrowdale Civic where they're losing all weekend hours. That's something I've been working on, trying to campaign with the government.
So what happened to the petition?
Which, my library's one?
Yes.
That is, I think, just gone past about 2,800 signatures. I'll be tabling that on the 16th of September, the next 2 days, put that in. That's quite a significant number. You don't see many petitions break the 1,000 mark. So that's an indication of the level of community concern about continuing access to their libraries over the weekends. I was doing some work on behalf of the Casey residents in terms of Plimsoll Drive, which is the main drive that goes through that suburb there. They were concerned in terms of road safety, number of roadkill, near misses that's happening in that area. So continuing to work on that. Also, the Margaret Hendry School in Taylor, the Parents and Community Association there are highly concerned in terms of particularly the crossing of Horsepark Drive with Mirabah Drive, turn into Solwood Drive, I believe it does. So, just been working with them in combination with James Milligan and Leanne Castle, so sort of getting a press of representatives to help with that particular issue. Bus routes in Jacka. Stage 1's been in place for a good 16 years or so, I'm assuming. Although, thanks to design of Stage 1, you won't actually get a bus route going through Jacka, Stage 1. And so they have to go along Horsepark Drive. But now that we've got Stage 2 basically being developed and people are starting to move in, they're asking where are they going to get their, or when are they going to get a bus service going through there? The answer from the Minister was, not sure. So we'll have to keep pushing on that one. Issues I've been dealing with was just trying to balance in terms of the announcements from the Gungahlin Light Rail Terminus here. We've got some apartments right next to it and there's been some concerns about the noise from those announcements because they also ensure that the announcements are hearable as well, so I'm just trying to work that one through. The other issue I'm sort of looking at, not quite Gungahlin, is EPIC, and particularly the Fitzroy Pavilion, which is a very popular community space utilised particularly by horticultural community groups there. The problem is they're required not to pay for the hire of the space, they're also required to pay for bonds, a security bond to ensure they don't damage it. Problem is those bonds are averaging at least $5,000, which is quite a significant amount for a community group to be able to find on top of the cost of hiring a facility, on top of the cost of them running the event, and then at some point a few months later they'll get their bond back with their money. So we're just trying to pressure the government to make some changes there. And yeah, that's basically the most recent things I've been working on in the Gungahlin area, but happy to throw it open and answer any questions anyone may have.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Is it this mic is picking up? Is it picking up? Yeah. Malcolm, do you want to go first?
Yes, so
Sorry, Malcolm.
am I correct in thinking that the Fitzroy building cost around $7.5 million, the refurbishment, and I think the rent for the first 18 months was about $50,000. So I'm not sure, it might be worth exploring exactly what that utilisation really is, because you're absolutely right in terms of the bonds and the cost of rental, but the size of the space and its applicability to even medium-sized community groups, it's too large, it's cavernous.
I had not heard about that $50,000 figure.
Well, I don't know, that's, I'm just saying it doesn't seem like incredibly popular.
Yes, I'm definitely keen to go away and check to see that figure. Yes, I have heard feedback from community groups, one because of these bonds, another issue they've had is in terms of the ability to cook. It's not always accessible within the Fitzroy Pavilion, so it's not always met their needs. And it does suit very large events, but yes, it is very too large for some users to be able to utilise. But I'm keen to see maximum use of that by the community, and I also I would like to see the government value the community connection that happens when they make use of a facility like that, and that includes breaking down some of the barriers that do exist, so that it can be used to its maximum benefit.
I'll just maybe ask them one at a time.
Sure.
It's a good question. First one is in relation to, I know is it Gungahlin 2030? Project, yeah. One of the things that they raised with the Community Council was in relation to that project. It's quite important for the entertainment precinct legislation in order to be
the noise standards. Yep.
So, I mean, I would hate to see that particular development not go through with some of the aspects that I think are different that they have that I think are quite helpful, which is the outdoor entertainment. I think that even the water fountain was a concern because you mentioned before about when you were talking about the noise of the announcements of the trains and the trams. And so from my perspective, I kind of think that this ties into that as well, that there needs to be dedicated areas within Gungahlin that have protections associated with that so that certain events and late night sort of entertainment precinct can be established. But at the time they mentioned that that had not been ratified for Gungahlin, and that it's really going to design this barrier works and then be able to provide that in the DA.
Yep. So as a bit of background, Gungahlin in this centre area is a designated entertainment precinct, which allows for what they call an 18-hour sort of precinct between 6 a.m. through to midnight. And what is missing from that is the noise standards, i.e. what is permissible within the district. The government undertook consultation on the noise standards that would apply in entertainment precincts, but failed to get enough information to be able to satisfy what that should look like for Gungahlin, so they've prioritised achieving the noise standard for Civic first, and then we're going to come back and then keep working on Gungahlin. Unfortunately, we're still waiting. This is much delayed and to much frustration to see that figured out in place to allow developments like Funfetti or whether it might be restaurants or other locations and be able to develop here, get some economic activation, get some more people coming out into Gungahlin rather than feeling they have to go all the way to Civic.
The second question was in relation to what you mentioned about the noise associated with the light rail vehicles and the residents that live there. I mean, my concern is essentially in relation to safety in that area, and I brought that up with the police earlier on. One of the things that I've often mentioned about the light rail that has existed is we do have a lot of government employees essentially in red uniforms that transit on the trains. But I have seen a lot of instances in relation to antisocial activity on the trains themselves. And although the trains actually do have buttons you can push and certain aspects with the cameras, they seem to be pretty ineffective when there isn't some form of either security or transit police that essentially exist on the light rail system. And for a lot of people, I've actually seen it actually can come across as quite unsafe, and Gungahlin specifically feels a little bit unsafe. It feels like a little bit that transit, Canberra transit sort of officers who are not security guards essentially are taking up that role, essentially by patrolling those areas and trying to keep them safe. It's good that I got a response potentially from Mark Patterson saying that there'll be extra patrols there, but I do think that maybe there could be some aspects of either private security or security associated with that, or some sort of transit security for that station in Gungahlin to make it a bit safer.
Or to make it very clear that the video that's being taken inside the carriages is available to prosecute the offenders so that they're actually aware that they're being watched.
Yes, that is already the case legally, but in terms of making that more apparent to users of the trains, yes, definitely take that one on board. And also take your feedback on board, Darren. CMAT is usually the ones with the red vests who are providing that service. That is provided on contract from the ACT government, and that's definitely something we could look at. So.
Well, I've seen them that they hardly even check tickets anymore because I've seen many instances where they've actually been attacked, screamed at, abused, belittled, and when they've actually radioed through for assistance, essentially no assistance came. And from my perspective, it's police responses to that are already stretched in our region. It does feel like they are being put into danger themselves, not only the community but those transit employees, whether they're private or not. So if there is money being allocated towards that, I don't understand why there isn't enough money in order to look at some type of security associated with it as well.
Yeah.
I think it seems reasonable given the incidents that have happened, and it would probably support the police's job as well. And it would not be just a button you can push that potentially maybe somebody on the end of the line might be able to respond to, but it would be a visible deterrent, and it would be something that I think would increase safety in Gungahlin.
Yeah, and it really disappoints me because we're just seeing community becoming more individualistic and more likely to see these antisocial behaviour attacks happen, and it's just getting worse and worse. And so we're seeing demand for police, other services as a response to that, and I just wish as a community we were headed in this direction.
Thanks, Andy. You talked about the cinema and you said in the current legislation there is no way they can realise
for the first 4 years.
The first 4 years, but I think it would be pretty fast with the first 4 years for a decade back or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So do you know what actions so far that ACT government has done? Because 4 years of probably would have gone ages back now. They should have penalised. Do you know how much they got penalised or?
It's at least 10 years, I think, beyond where they should have, and then there's another 4 on top, so what's that, 14 years or what?
Yep. So, I mean, apart from a few chats with developers over the years and various other things, what I'm referring to there is when the lease was granted in 2022, it had the building lease covenant that said that cinema had to be built by 2024, we're talking I think February, March, and so now we're here in 2026, that's 2 years into that 4 year period. I don't want to have to wait until we get to the
So 4 years from the
4 years from the actual breach of the licence condition, which starts in it's about March 2024 is when that clock started.
So basically they had like 10 years to do the project. And then because they didn't do it, we've given them another 4 years to do it.
Free.
Free?
Yes.
So altogether it worked out like 30 years or something like that.
Oh, sorry, no, not free. Free in terms of there's just no penalty at the moment. So you imagine if you signed a contract and then said, you know what, I'm not going to comply with that contract for 4 years and there's zero penalty for you, why do we let them get away with that?
Yeah. So I think it's, I don't know what needs to be done, but I think surely government can do something.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we keep pushing, and that's what the community wanted. And it's clearly showing our survey, and then we did the petition. So some people may start asking, is cinema is still relevant, but if you go and some movies you can't watch in your house, and some movies you just the cinematic experience, and every time you go, all the lights, balconies, everything is filled, because when you want to book a movie, it's always, the first few weeks already go sold out. So there is a demand in the market, and I think if they can't do justification for that, then they should probably give back the land, or government needs to do something. So I think we as a community wanted for you to keep pushing. That'll be really good. On the other, the one you talked about, the jack out the bus, the people are still waiting, right? It's always the case of waiting and catch up and all those delays that happen in Gungahlin. The Gungahlin is not a proactive approach from the government. It's usually a reactive thing. So I don't know how long people need to wait in Jakarta, because I think if government can't promise the service from day one, they should do some kind of transition on the stamp duty or subsidy on the land they sell. I think it's a genuine thing to ask, because the ACT government pushing all greens and environment friendly.
Peppercorn lease, I think is that the peppercorn lease?
That's for community facilities.
I'm talking about the suburban land,
residential.
The residential one.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, if the government is not ready with the facility, they should give some kind of subsidy in the rates or something till you get the full facility. Because when you look at the rate, it includes the transport, which they can't use.
Yep.
So it's kind of, charging someone for the service that they cannot use. So I'm just saying these things because so that you could, let them know like these things can't keep happening. The other option is to duplicate the roads. That's more convenient, because we're not doing any justification on our public transport. We don't have enough, and it's and the population is growing. So we should be improving our public transport, also duplicating the rest of the roads, because you also mentioned about the issue with the KC in terms of the road. So again, those clarions and those drives have never been duplicated. The Osborne should have been Mirabai Drive, Osborne Drive should have been completed. So all those things I'm just raising. Public transport that has to come up to speed. Also the road infrastructure that people be longing for, because our survey shows again and again and again the same thing, that they want duplication. And you see every day in the morning, just in the Mirabai Drive, just to get out of Gungahlin, it takes you solid 20 minutes if you're lucky.
Yep.
Right. So it'd be good. I don't know, because every time you engage with the ACT government, they're saying they don't have any scope for till 2040. Can you believe it? 2040. We're not going to touch any of the infrastructure projects. So
question.
So I just want to raise these things and make sure these facilities which are essential for Gungahlin that needs to be done.
No, I completely share your frustration in terms of Gungahlin always seems to have been built first, and then the supporting infrastructure or services have followed way later than the demand specified. And the problem is, like for an example like Jacker, is people will make decisions, they buy there, they'll see there's no bus, so then they'll go, fine, I have to buy a car. in order to be able to access work, study, schools, whatever, then they're locked into that decision. And when the bus finally comes along, however many years later, they're just like, oh, I'm going to still keep using my car. So they're locked into those transport choices that were made when that suburb was first released with no service. Sorry.
One wasn't a question, and it just contrasting with Denver Prospect. I'm pretty sure the buses went in there early on, like it's the number 10 is I think that goes through there. They were rolling around, you know, way before houses were built in Denver Prospect. So it is possible.
It is possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about the bus on that note, I will finish. Darren, you know where I'm going.
I was going to say,
you want to say that? You want to say that?
So when are we looking at a bus that potentially can travel from Gungahlin to areas like Gungahlin? And I think also...
I think you're just stealing Henley's thunder.
I just want to say it for him, because I know that he said it so many times that I just want to do one.
The government has no plans. There is no time frame I could even give you.
And the other thing that I like to talk about, and I think we're getting into the pointing end of this as well, is Gungahlin East. So Gungahlin East, essentially, I was on the 100-person sort of committee that looked at, you know, the design elements of Gungahlin East. I kind of felt that public consultation was better than the consultation that existed previously. I did feel that during that consultation, it was never really talked about the balance between residential and commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in Gungahlin seems to understand the appetite for more retail, in particular, as well as commercial, as well as employment. We know elements like the light rail, for example, you know, goes from Gungahlin in the morning, full of people travelling out.
Yep.
And it doesn't come back in with many people. What's interesting was recently we heard about potentially some land being acquired around Madeira Park in order to be converted essentially for commercial use and potentially even a business park or an extension to a business park there, which is news to us because we've had numerous conversations with the ACT government about the fact that land, if it's set aside for commercial use, essentially would not attract anybody who's interested in it, and yet 10 minutes away from Gungahlin, essentially the government is talking about that. And what I found really interesting from Minister Steele was he was talking about that one of the major elements about turning that into and reserving commercial space there was employment, and that employment was really important from his perspective because of the population growth of Canberra in general, of which Gungahlin has a majority of that population growth. So I'm just curious why employment is of a high priority to the ACT government in certain areas where they're planning on requisitioning land that is green space and converting it to be used for commercial. And yet, for whatever reason, we see the ever diminishing reservation of commercial space in Gungahlin East, as we've seen. We always seem to be locked in as a community council with a consistent battle. And I have to say I'm kind of sick of it, because every time I have a conversation with anybody when they talk about Gungahlin East, I always feel like I need to be defending this concept that everything needs to be residential, and that's really what we highlighted, was we did not want Gungahlin to be a dormitory suburb. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to gel to the planners and the people that are designing Gungahlin. They seem to be wanting to push ahead and put as much residential in Gungahlin as possible, and they're not addressing the concerns that they seem to be being concerned about in Madeira for employment and reservation and having space for that. So I'm just curious about what your opinion is going forward about, given that argument, about how we can progress with Gungahlin East to ensure that a large amount of that space continues to be reserved for what there must be an appetite for commercial and for retail to be expanded in Gungahlin, and also employment, so that we can hopefully keep a few of those people off the road travelling to employment in other areas.
Yep.
And just to add on what Danny was saying, you know, why they take some green space where we have enough land here
in terms of infrastructure, probably as a Greens candidate yourself, Andrew, so probably it should be a concern for you as well. So it'd be really good if we can, think in a way that it's going to benefit, like Gungahlin, as well as we're also saving a green space on the other area. So we should probably use Gungahlin as a kind of employment hub. My vision for Gungahlin is to make Gungahlin as a startup hub for international and nationally. So people who want to start a company, they should come here. It should be like a Silicon of Australia.
So we also asked for a prospectus as well, which is something we raised, which has never come about.
Which never come through as well.
We've got a prospectus that was just never taken up.
I think the prospectus was actually for federal government departments, and that was it. What we talked to the Chief Minister's department was about expanding it to the commercial sector, so that commercial land wouldn't just be the red herring that I keep pointing out all the time, which Minister Gentleman used to refer to, which is that we put it to federal government departments. Federal government departments are not interested, so therefore we must go from commercial to residential. And essentially what we're saying is you should be looking at other uses for that land other than just federal government. It seems to me that that's a red herring, and I'm calling that red herring out to say that if the argument is that the federal government department can't move here, that doesn't automatically give you the prerogative to then automatically say, well, we could just convert it to residential because it's all too hard. And so what we were essentially saying was, why did you not do a prospectus that essentially talked about Gungahlin East to investors that might actually want to put commercial businesses in Gungahlin? What was really interesting in the 100-person committee that I was part of, which thankfully I was part of, was that some of the people who were actually looking at it, who were from international areas, they mentioned that this was unique, very unique to have such a large plot of land available, looked at as a precinct, essentially, that was close to a light rail investment. So from their perspective, they thought that it was quite unique and quite saleable. So essentially, I put to the ACT government or the SLA, why is this so hard to sell, given those attributes that Gungahlin East has?
So many points to respond to. I think firstly, I can definitely emphasise I share the frustration in the room. Having since I was on the Gungahlin Community Council back in 2018 or so, I've been fighting that issue since then. Part of my challenge has been is, despite trying to get 2 motions through the Assembly, I have not been able to achieve a majority of the Assembly in support of changing the mix of employment to residential, to my frustration. As for reasons why, I think part of it is the government taking the easiest part to achieve housing targets, and also the highest value land use coming through, which is apartment house basically. And so that is what is the forces driving against us trying to see a change. And I'm not saying it has to be 100% employment. I'm just saying let's have some more space for employment than you're allocating, and definitely the next small retail popped by 20 stories of apartment housing. And that's been my continuing frustration. Doesn't mean I'll give up. We need to keep pushing and get as much employment as we can into this area, and I appreciate any cooperation and support and campaigning from the GCC in that regard. That, however, has been a continuing source of frustration and something that I just keep patting my head against in the Assembly. So we might like to take that up with other members of the Assembly as well and see if we can find a way to get to actual majority of members getting on board with the idea of seeing a better mix, a more appropriate mix of employment versus residential.
So we've got our library closure on Sunday.
Yep.
And also it closure and relocation somewhere else. Obviously, part of our climate adaptation strategy was to have identified public spaces like libraries as infrastructure where people could go in the event of something water, heat wave or something like that. So we've got to hope now that they won't occur on
They will come up on a Sunday in order to be accessible, but there's a few ifs along the way in that statement, which relies on them to be able to do that, which does concern me.
And is there really a plan for the redevelopment of the library or its relocation? I understand that the left space is sort of being earmarked for the college, and you did talk about CIT. I don't know whether they have any interest in taking up some of that space if that ever happens.
Yep. So I have heard previous rumours that plan to move the library out, to move it up to Gungahlin Town Centre East, and to allow the college and the CIT to take over that space. I have most recently heard assurances that they have no intention to move the Gungahlin Library. That's as far as I know, that's what I've been told. I will watch this space with interest.
I actually did see some renderings of a library in Gungahlin East, and I did ask the question, why do we have a library if we already have one? And that, for whatever reasons, appears to have evaporated. But yeah, I don't think you're imagining things. I did say that maybe that was one.
I'm not saying I'm imagining things, I'm just letting you know what I've heard, and I will wait and see if you don't make any further announcements in this space.
Cool. I think we have come to the time, so probably we'll wrap up. Thank you so much everyone in the room and also in online for joining us tonight, and thank you so much Andrew for coming along and giving us an update. From next month I think probably we're dealing with the warmer months, so it'd be great if you can, if possible, if you can come along for a face-to-face meeting, that'd be really good. Always you can tune up on our Facebook for the live stream as well. So thank you so much for all the speakers today, and thank you for coming along to the room, and thank you for for joining us online as well, or if you might listen in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for coming along, and have a good night. God bless.